This is a WWN Publishing Group recording. Copyright 2017, all rights reserved. This is an abridged version of Hot Georgia Rein by Martha Sweeney to make the story appropriate for all listeners on YouTube. Read to you by the author. If you want to read the complete story, you can find the ebook or paperback online. Links are provided below in the description. Chapter 8, Henry. My body jolts the second I hear a noise behind me, thinking that a wild animal has gotten into the barn again. I chide myself for not getting a dog sooner until my gaze falls upon Ivy. I take her in for a few seconds, noticing how she's barely wearing anything and that I can practically see through her thin shorts and top. I clutch the chisel in my hand, fighting off my urges. "Hey," I greet. "Hey," she answers, pausing for a few seconds to look at me. I'm sorry." Ivy lowers to the ground, grabbing a tool one at a time. When her legs shift where they practically give me a full view up her shorts, I rush toward her. "Don't worry about it," I reply, getting as close to her as possible. We reach for the same item and our hands connect. The same electric pulse shoots through me again as it did on the roof. Our eyes meet, but mine drop to her mouth, then her breasts, before pausing on her legs. I will myself to stop staring, but I can't help it. "Sorry," she repeats, recapturing my attention. "They're just tools," I state oddly. "No harm done." "Sorry," Ivy says again nervously. I finish grabbing the rest of the tools off the ground as she just stares at me. Ivy stands when I do, keeping her eyes on my face. I don't look away from her as I place the last few things on top of the large rolling toolbox. One or two fall again, but I don't bother to look even though Ivy does. She starts to bend down and get them. "Don't worry about it," I say. She stops mid-bend and I catch a glimpse of her cleavage. Blood rushes below my waist and I fight to maintain control over my body. "Is it weird that I came?" she blurts suddenly, returning upright. The idea of her orgasming pops into my head from her statement. Shrugging it off, I barely mutter, "No." "Why are you up so late?" she asks, trying to redirect the oddness between us. Ivy walks toward the area where I was working, not bothering to wait for me to respond. "Just some stuff I do," I share, following her closely, desperate to get another whiff of her scent. "Stuff?" she pushes, walking around my latest creation. "Wow, Henry, this is amazing." "Yeah, I guess," I return, not bothering to look away from her. "Guess?" she giggles. "It is. It's magnificent." "You are," I say, under my breath. "What?" she searches. "Nothing," I deny. Ivy's face alters when she sees another piece I've made, one that resembles her. She looks back at me with awe in her eyes, and that's when my brain shuts off and my body moves to her. My hands take the sides of her face and my mouth claims hers. Ivy doesn't pull away. Instead, her tiny, soft hands cover mine, and her tongue is the first one to breach the crack between our lips. I spin us, grabbing a hold of her ass, and plant her between me and the closest beam. Ivy's arms wrap around my neck, tightening when I press my groin harder into hers. I get lost in her. I get lost in us. This is us. This has always been us, especially once we understood our own bodies and each other's. Nothing has changed. Our desires, our needs, our souls are still one. Not liking the taste of the wood chips on her skin, I carry Ivy to the shower. I don't bother to put her down when I turn on the water or get in. Pressing her against the wall, our hands frantically free her from her robe. I pause for just a few seconds to appreciate the sight of her erect nipples poking through the thin, wet fabric of her top. As eager as I am to be buried deep inside her, I try desperately to take my time, wanting to make up for the lost time and needing as much confidence to realize that I'm not dreaming. Ivy holds on around my neck and waist as I desperately remove the jeans that cling to my skin. Ivy moans in my ear, causing me to almost finish on the spot. Besides the fact that it's been years since I've been inside her, it's been over a year since I've had sex at all. My mind wanders to how long it's been for her, but I fight it off, not wanting to think of my Ivy with any other man than me. My forehead rocks against hers as I try to steady my breathing. It's hard to look at her for a moment, knowing that I've come undone and am desperately trying to fight back tears. Ivy takes my face, angling it up for me to look at her. I'm sure she sees the redness in my eyes. It takes her just a second later to swipe the tip of her thumb to clear away the second tear that falls down my face. When I let go of my insecurity, I notice the same redness in her eyes as well as the tears falling from them. I carefully wipe them away before returning my mouth to hers. Our bodies quickly resume another round of intimacy, but this round I actually take my time. I get her going with my tongue, making her release her sweet nectar into my mouth before turning off the water. Not bothering with towels, I carry her to my bed, lowering her down gently before I climb over her. We make love into the night until both of us are exhausted. I roll us so Ivy is laying across me with her head on my chest. My arms cling to her body, needing to keep her for all of the rest of eternity. We don't speak. We don't need to as our eyelids easily close. Later in the night or early morning, flashes of when I kissed Ivy for the first time and when we started exploring each other's body more with our hands entices me to recount more of those details. Remembering the time when we were together, happy, and how we have always been meant to be. Ivy seemed less nervous than she should have been, coaxing me along to do it more than me instructing her. I had wondered if she had sex before and even questioned her about it. Not with a guy, she giggled. Why does this not freak you out? I inspected. In movies, the girl is always insecure the first time. Ivy bit her lips and smiled. Because I kinda know what I want. What does that mean? I asked speculatively. I trust you, so you should trust me, she stated. I do trust you, I claimed. What I don't trust is how you're acting. Are you calling me a liar? Ivy questioned angrily. No, I countered. What I'm trying to understand is how a virgin can know what she wants. I want you, she clarified. Doesn't that count? Yes, but nothing, she scolded playfully. How the hell does it seem like you know what you're doing? I pressed. I don't want to say, she admitted. So you have had sex. With who? Just tell me it wasn't Davis, I requested. Ew, she said, trying not to laugh. I didn't have sex with any boys, especially Davis. Then, I pushed. I've kinda done things, she admitted bashfully. Things, I checked. The same kind of things boys do when they explore their own body, she directed, smacking my shoulder. I know you don't have a penis, so there's no way you've masturbated, I declared. Henry Lee Rein, Ivy shouted, slapping my leg. She quickly stood up and peered out the treehouse as if afraid that someone had heard us. I built the treehouse for us to get away from our brothers and friends a few months after we started dating. It didn't take me long, not after learning woodworking from my dad. What? I whined. It's the truth. I would know when you wear a bathing suit if you had one. What if I did have one? She questioned oddly. Then what? I'm confused, I stated. There are people out there who have both organs, she mentioned with her hands on her hips. Do you have both organs? I asked nervously. No, she yelled, hitting me again. Ouch! Quit it, I demanded, pulling her into me. I wouldn't care either way. I love you. Ivy's face fell, dropping all of the anger that was raging behind her eyes. I do, I admitted, realizing that it was the first time I'd ever told her how I felt. Ivy smiled. I could tell she wanted to say it too, but she was nervous. I know because I've masturbated, she revealed. I lifted a brow. How do girls masturbate? I asked, curiously. Show me. I'm not going to show you, she declared. Why not? I inquired. Because it's weird, she claimed. No weirder than when you reach down my pants and touch me when we're kissing but won't let me do the same to you, I announced. How would you touch me down there? She asked timidly. Let me show you and then you can tell me if it's the same or not as you do, I suggested. Ivy twisted her hands nervously in her shirt. I want to return the favor, I stated. I like what you do for me. I just want to make you feel the same way. Okay, Ivy agreed after several long, painstaking moments. But you can't look. Why not? I whined. Because I haven't looked at yours, she reminded. I'll happily show you, I announced, ready to drop my pants in front of her. No, she shouted. No, not yet. I'm not ready for that. Okay, I soothed. What do you want to do then? What we usually do, but then you can touch me too, she directed. Okay, I agreed happily. We laid back down on the blanket and started kissing again. It didn't take long for our hands to start moving over each other's bodies. My fingers grabbed the back of her leg, settling it over the side of my hip to pull her closer. Ivy's hand slid down and took a hold of me, stroking me like she always had before. When my fingers began to trail down her stomach, Ivy started to giggle. I apologized for tickling her, but she started to fight me a little when the tip of my fingers started to slip past the edge of her shorts. Wait, she breathed. I'll go slow, I offered. I know, she sighs. It's just that I might not be what you expect. What do you mean? I inquired. I'm not like most girls down there. Or maybe I am, she laughed nervously. I'm confused, I admitted. Okay, fine, Ivy said, grabbing my wrist and jamming my hand down her pants. She continued to wince even though I hadn't started moving my hand or fingers. Am I hurting you? I checked. You don't feel it, she asked. Feel what? I searched. No hair, she stated. I wiggled my fingers a little and at first thought that my hand was just below her belly button. When my hand moved a little more, I realized that I was also touching her thigh. You're bald, I stated more than question. Yeah, she confirmed bashfully. I know that many of the models do it. How did you remove it? I asked, trying to peer down her pants. I shaved it, she admitted, preventing me from being able to look. How did you do that? Isn't that dangerous? I checked. No more dangerous than you shaving your face, she giggled. I thought about it for a second and continued to move my fingers, desperate to find a spot that she'd respond to in a positive way. You don't like it, she huffed, pushing me away. I do, I stated. I was just more focused on finding the best place to touch you. Really? She asked nervously. Really, I confirmed. It took Ivy a second to trust me, but then she redirected my hand back down her shorts, showing me where exactly to go. She instructed on how to rub it, and that she particularly liked a circular motion. How do you know that? I asked. Know what? She checked. That you like it like this, I said. Because that's how I've done it, and you can tell because it makes me wetter, she admitted. Really? I asked eagerly, slipping my middle finger between her lips. Ivy let out a moan, and I stopped immediately. Did I hurt you? I searched. No, she giggled. I like that, actually. We continued to kiss and touch each other until we made each other come. I was proud of myself, being able to make a girl come for the first time. It only took a few more times of us hiding in our secret treehouse and touching each other to that we were suddenly performing oral sex. Not long after that, we started having sex. Lots of sex. The memory suddenly changed and I felt like I was losing control. Losing Ivy. This can't happen again, Ivy stated, buttoning up her dress. Why? I asked, getting my belt buckled. We're suddenly in our 20s, particularly on the worst day of my life. Because, Henry, she sighed, you're getting married. I've encouraged you to cheat. If we don't stop, you'll be an adulterer. Then I won't marry her, I proclaimed. Ivy studied me for a few seconds. I go back to New York tomorrow, she reminded. I know, I huffed. You and I know you won't leave Blackburn, she stated calmly. And you won't come back, I sighed, knowing the truth of our situation and hating it. I can't, she reminded. This is home, but I've built a life for myself in New York. You aren't dating anyone, are you? I inquired. Not yet, she said cautiously, but it would probably do me good since you'll be a married man in about 6 months. I'll come with you, I blurted. I want to believe you, Henry, she replied. I do, but leaving town scares you. Staying scares you, I pushed. I have the chance to do what I love, which would allow me to take care of Mama and Papa when they need me, she stated. Grady's still trying to figure out who he is and what he wants. Mama and Papa aren't getting younger. They've got plenty to deal with since Nana and Pops are living with them now. My head bobbed, despite the fact that I knew it was all true. She'd never stay. She hasn't since she left for college, only coming back for holidays and summer break unless she got some kind of an internship for experience. I cherished the days when she was back because that's when we were together and nothing else interfered with us being together. Ivy knows I'm scared to leave town. My family is here, including my future family. I will always love you, Henry, Ivy said, pulling me from my thoughts. But I want more. I need more than just this little town. Hell, than just this state. You're all I need, I returned, hoping to convince her to stay. Says the man who's getting married, she quipped harshly. I felt sucker-punched by the truth. Maybe at some point Blackburn won't bother me so much, but right now, I want to experience the world, Ivy shared. I know, I replied. I knew I was never good enough for you. My left hand covered my cheek after feeling the sting of Ivy slapping me. That's a low blow even for you, Henry Lee Rein, Ivy spat through a clenched jaw. You've known me all my life. I've always been honest with you. You've known the things I've wanted to do, the dreams I've had and want to achieve. I'm sorry, I let out on a heavy breath. I'm so sorry, Firefly. You know I didn't mean it like that. When you're ready to grow up, Henry, you know where to find me, Ivy declared. When I see you in New York and single, that's when we'll be together. Until then, I think it's best if we don't see each other for a long while. Ivy, I shout, waking up with a cold sweat. My eyes dart around the barn in search of her, but she's missing. Her sweet scent still lingers on my bed, confirming that at least last night hadn't been a dream too. This is the end of this chapter. Thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the story so far. To read the full unabridged version, you can find a link in the description below. To find out about new releases before the general public, be sure to subscribe to my newsletter. You'll find a link also in the description. Also, to be notified when the next chapter is published, make sure you subscribe to my channel.